Okay, cool. We'll get started in a few minutes.
I'll be back in 3. Thank you.
For anyone that's using a virtual machine, go ahead and get those started up so you're ready to go once we get into the session. Minutes. Let's wait for a few more attendees to get signed in. If you have a virtual machine installed that you'll be running UFT on, please start that now. And for those of you who are already logged in, this is going to be an interactive session. Feel ask questions. You can just unmute your phone when you're ready to ask. Keep your phone muted while the presentation is going on, but then you can unmute your phone if you do have a question, all right, or difficulties. All right, good morning, everyone. Misner, are you online? Mizan.
Yes, I'm online, yeah. Hello?
All right, Shamsu's online. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Mia. I'm one of the trainers here. I'll be training in UFT, HP Unified Functional Testing, was now HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise Unified Functional Testing. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this morning. Feel free to ask questions at any time. This is an interactive session, like I mentioned before. If you do have a virtual machine that you need to get started, go ahead and start that up now to get the Windows environment up and running. And please shout out if you're having any difficulty. We have Ms. Nur and Shamsu are here to help. You can send them a chat message if you need. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello? Hello? Hey, someone needs to put their phone on mute. They're typing. All right, that's better. All right, everyone, let's give a quick overview. Like I said, I've been doing, good morning, everyone. I've been doing test automation for about 18 years now. I've been in the IT industry for a little over 20. I started off with tools called WinRunner, which was actually before HP came around, they bought a company called Mercury Interactive, which changed to Mercury. Mercury owned a tool called WinRunner at the time. They developed another tool called QTP, Quick Test Professional, which is basically used for like SAP applications a long time ago, which was designed specifically for that. And then it expanded to testing other web applications, and it's become the tool that we know and love today. Again, your participation is expected in this course, so just follow along. If you have any problems, just give a shout. We'll be going slow, so everyone can follow along. We'll keep it simple, and I'll try to explain everything in simple terms, the best of my ability. Like we said, like Merced demonstrated last week, manual testing can be very tedious. That's why myself, Shamsu, and the other trainers, we specialize in automated testing. It's a very lucrative industry. So we want to teach those skills to you and make sure that you can take those skills to your job and perform to the best of your ability as well. So let's go ahead and get started. There are many different advantages and disadvantages to test automation skills. So to test automation, I mentioned last week that one of the biggest drawbacks when you have a paid tool like HP Quick Test Pro, I've been to many HP conferences in the past, and what a lot of companies find is that they buy these expensive licenses that can cost upwards of like 10,000 a piece, or even five, depending on the number you buy, the cheaper it will get. But say you're buying one license for $10,000 for this tool. A lot of times people will start creating scripts, or they'll try creating scripts, and they'll record a script based on the application they're testing, and then they find later that they break because something has changed. So they get frustrated. They're creating these tests that are not reusable. So these expensive licenses become shelfware, right? So we have these expensive tools that are just sitting on the shelf, and they're not being used by these companies that are purchasing them. That's why we want to teach. But there's also a great demand for people actually who do possess these skills. So as I said, myself and Shamsu, Mazan, we've all been doing this for a long time. So we have those skills and we're trying to give them to you because the industry and the jobs are out there. You just have to go, you have to be able to, you have to show the ability to use these tools. We interview people all the time, and people will have on their resume that they know QTP, or UFT, and they really don't, to the extent that we would like them to know. But again, we're going to teach you the skills that you need to possess in order to make an impression, when you're out on an interview and so forth. Let's go ahead and get started. Any application that you're testing is called an AUT. So it's called the application under test. So we're trying to go ahead and limit or lessen the burden of the manual testers of testing your application under test. So for instance, if you're testing, say, the cyberbullying website or any website, any application that you're testing, it can be, the UFT has the ability to test Java applications or C# or, .NET applications, anything. So anything like that, we'll get into now. So everyone should have their virtual machine, or if you installed UFT installed on your desktop, you should have that installed. One thing, since I'm always using UFT, I have it in my quick launch bar at the bottom of my screen, as you can see here. So we'll go ahead and launch that. So I'll go ahead and start it now. One thing to note that UFT can be a little slow to start, so we'll give it a little time. So everyone go ahead and start your unified functional testing by either double clicking or clicking on your icon to get it started. Just go ahead and click the continue button since we're using the free version or the temporary version. Everyone should come up with this HPE Unified Functional Testing Add-in Manager. Let me know when that, or I'll give everyone a few seconds. Is everyone caught up? Is everyone on the screen? If you're not, just give a shout and we can wait a minute. All right, so right here, this is the HPE Add-in Manager. So this starts up, you can I always elect to show this at startup. This tells us what type of applications UFT has the ability to create tests for. Okay, so by default, Windows can test Windows-based applications. So that there's like a built-in window application that you don't see here. So if we unchecked everything, we'd be able to test like Windows type things, applications. We're going to go ahead and check web because we'll be playing with a web page today, web and ActiveX. Just so those are go ahead and selected. Everyone go ahead and select those two check boxes there and leave the default show on startup added in. So where we work also, we test Java applications. Some people test Windows WPF Silverlight, which is Windows Presentation Foundation Silverlight. Some people may test Visual Basic applications. You want to, here you want to check off the minimum amount that you'll need to test your application successfully. So you don't want to check all these. You'll actually get a warning message if I started to select too many add-ins at the same time, and also there can be like incompatibilities as well. All right, so we'll go ahead and select those two and click OK. UFT will take a minute to start up usually. What was I gonna say? Oh, UFT is a very processor and RAM intensive machine, application, I should say. So we'll use a lot of your RAM and processes on your computer. So mine might be a little slow because I'm actually running on a virtual machine as well. So hopefully it's not too slow. It gets loaded up. Give it a minute here. All right. We now have HP UFT started up. I'll give everyone a minute to get caught up in case your machine's a little bit slower. Some might already be waiting, but we'll give it a second. Again, if anyone's having any issues, trouble starting UFT, please send a chat message either to Shamsu Udin or Mizner Rahman.
Hello.
Yes.
I have a quick question. It's in the chat box.
Okay.
I checked all the boxes before the class started, and will this be a problem down the road?
It might run a little slower. If you want, you can go ahead and just close it and then just select the two that you need. You didn't get a warning message that said selecting too many could slow. It shouldn't hurt anything. Just might be a little. Every time you start that test, you're gonna have all those checkboxes checked, or you're gonna get a warning message when you're creating a test.
Thank you.
When you're launching that test, so you can go ahead and close it and just restart it and check the two ActiveX and Web. So everyone should have ActiveX and Web selected. Let me know when you're back into the application, and we'll get moving.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. All right, everyone. So everyone should be on the start page now. What we're going to do is we're just going to do File, and we're going to do New. I'm going to do Select Test, and we're going to choose GUI Test. And let's go ahead and name it. Let's see, Test 1. Fine. And you can leave the default location. But let's go back to that start page real quick. So the start page will give you basic information about HP. They have a feed, like a news feed, what's new within the applications and so forth. This one's a little shrunk, but they have forums and so forth, API testing forum, API testing. So again, we're only teaching the QTP side of unified functional testing. It actually, QTP, UFT, Unified Functional Testing, came about when they combined another tool that HP has called Service Test. So that allows you to test services such as SOAP, REST services, and so forth, creating like a graphical user interface to test those services. So it's like a little bit easier to test using this tool. You can also use other tools like SOAP UI, which we will be teaching in this course as well. All right. So let's go back. I actually go ahead and close this start page, so no need to have it up really. All right, so now everyone should be here on this page here. Empty test, there's nothing on the screen. Let's go ahead and click on Tools in the upper corner and click on Options. We're going to get everyone set up the same here. All right. So let's go over to GUI testing. Click on that. Now everyone should have automatically select this checkbox here. It says automatically generate with statements after recording. So that's on the GUI testing tab on the general option, and select automatically generate with statements after recording. Everything else should stay the same. Test runs, we'll leave it as normal. We're not using ALM, so we're not going to do that. Allow other HP products to run tests, you can leave that selected.
Brother, sorry, I got lost here.
Okay.
So because I'm in test one page.
You're on where? Test one page?
Yeah.
Okay, so here, I'll cancel out here. From the main UFT menu, go ahead and select Tools. Tools.
Okay, Tools, okay.
Options.
Options.
Yeah, and then you're going to go to GUI testing.
Okay.
And then on the General tab, you have the automatically generate with statement, so select that. Select this checkbox here on my screen.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to go down to web applications.
Okay.
Select down, and we're going to click page frame options.
Okay.
And then everyone click on different test object descriptions and different test object descriptions. So both of these radio buttons here should be checked.
Hey,
right.
Greg, this is Shamsu here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. Would you be able to explain why we are selecting these two new pages and what is the purpose of
Okay.
this?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so everyone, as we start to test applications like such as web pages, if we don't select those, if we don't select these radio buttons here, what happens is the tool has to create what's called an object repository, right? So this object repository is basically a map of our application. As we start to record, what will happen is for every single page that we encounter, the tool will actually create a separate page within that object repository for every single page that we encounter, and it's actually really hard to maintain the objects within UFT. So we want to keep everything nice and clean. So that's the reason we go ahead and select these radio buttons here. Does that answer your question, Shamsu, or did you want to add in?
Yeah, that did. Unless anyone else has any question on that.
Okay. All right. Is everyone caught up? I assume so. All right. Now we're going to go back up to the top main menu, and we're going to go to Text Editor. Everyone should be on text editor. And make sure show line numbers is on.
Greg?
Yes.
Amit here. Question. Can you please explain that again? Things you just selected. I didn't really get that. You used some words like repossess.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I couldn't even pronounce that. Like, you know. Can you go over that one more time, please?
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we're back on the GUI testing tab of the options menu. And we're going to go back down. We're going to expand the web section. So on the left-hand side, the left menu, we're going to expand the web by clicking on the little sideways triangle. And then we're going to click on page frame options. Now, within a browser, everyone, you have web pages, correct? So every time our tool interacts with those web pages, say we click on an object or we type in an edit box, as we, which I'll demonstrate in a few minutes, as we type into those edit boxes or as we interact with our application, the tool is actually going to record. And it's going to, in order for UFT to recognize those objects in the future, it creates what's called an object repository. An object repository is basically a map of your application. It gives unique descriptions, which I'll delve into later, of the objects that comprise your application. So for instance, a username box, when you're typing in your username into an application, there's a description based on HTML that describes distinctly that username box. UFT uses the properties of that box, which I'll show later, such as HTML ID or name or so forth, and that's how it locates the box, and that's how it will be able to enter text into that box in the future. So it'll be able to say type in your username automatically or a value automatically by going to that, by recognizing that object using the object repository. Okay. All right. So now we click on create a new page test object for different test object descriptions and create a new frame test object for different test object descriptions, because we don't want UFT to create yeah.
For some reason, I don't see the web tab in the left menu.
Yeah, web
Yeah.
on the left.
After Windows application, I don't see any tab. Like web is missing.
Oh, did you create a new test? You have to create a new test. So let me cancel out here. Everyone should be on a new test. So everyone should have gone to File, New, Test. Okay. So everyone should have created a new test, given it a name. I saved mine as Test 1. Once you have that test open, then you will see the web option, because when you first launched UFT, you should have had the web selected as one of your add-ins.
Got it. Okay.
Did you have web selected as your add-in when you first started UFT? You have to have that selected.
Okay, I'll check again. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so back to here again. So again, we're back to, everyone should have a new test created with the web add-in. So when we launched UFT, we had web selected and ActiveX selected. ActiveX isn't that important for now. I mean, we probably won't use it. It's just in case we come in contact with some ActiveX controls on the screen. But anyway, everyone should have web selected as an add-in. Then you're going to go to File and add File, New, and we're going to create a new test. And you're going to create a GUI test. Okay, GUI stands for Graphical User Interface Test. Okay, and then you're going to give your test a name, and you're going to click Create. Okay, so everyone should be on that step. Next, we're going to go to Tools, Options, GUI Testing. Once we have everyone should have web selected, you can expand on web, and then you should see the page frame options here. And that's where we select on different URL, different URLs and different URLs for a change of in data or I'm sorry, everyone should have different test object descriptions and different test object descriptions. These two radio buttons here should be selected. Okay. Next, we're going to go to text editor, all the way on the right-hand side.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I was starting a little behind. Do I select a GUI test from Sprint Automated? When I go to File, New, GUI test, Sprinter Automated test, is that where I go?
File, yeah, File, New, Test.
Okay.
Select GUI test is selected by default, and just type in a name. I type test one.
GUI test one.
Create. And just click create.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it. All right. Now back. Everyone should be tools, options. We're going to go to run options is fine. Okay, we're going to go to GUI testing tab. On the general settings here, everyone should have selected here, automatically generate with statements after recording. So click on that. All right. And back down to web last time. Page frame options, we're going to select different test object descriptions and different test object descriptions for both the page and for the frame objects. Okay. Next, everyone caught up? Okay. Next, we're going to go to text editor. All right. All these are.
Question. Sorry to interrupt again, brother. I didn't see hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
I couldn't see web when I click on GUI testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I click automatically generated with the statement after recording. I didn't see web on the bottom of the list.
Okay, yeah, we just covered that. So in order to see web, did you create your new test already?
No.
Did you create a new test? Okay,
No.
that's why. Okay, so go to before you get in this option here. Okay, everyone needs to go to File, New, and create a new test first. Okay, so everyone should be on this page. So go to File, New, Test, GUI test, and give it a name. Say I named mine Test 1. Yeah. Test 1. Okay, just like that, and click Create.
What's the name should be given?
Test 1 is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
You can get test
Create.
1. Yeah, Create. All right. So now everyone should be on this. It should say Action 1 here at the top. And then when we click on Tools, so we'll have the options for web there. Is everyone caught up? All right, so now we're going to go to Tools, Options again. Back to the GUI testing tab. Everyone expand Web, Page Frame Options, and we're going to select different test object descriptions. The second radio button in the first section, and the first radio button in the second section. So different test object descriptions. Next, we are going to click on Text Editor. Okay. We're going to click on Fonts and Colors. Right. Everyone see that? Fonts and Colors. Now, this checkbox here before syntax coloring. We're going to make our UFT is known as an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. So whenever you guys hear the word IDE, it's just a place where you're developing code. So UFT is actually just an IDE. It uses, HP actually uses an open source tool. I forgot which one it is. But Eclipse, when you guys are developing your Selenium scripts, Eclipse is an IDE, an integrated development environment. So this is the same. So we'll make this look a little more, I'll make the keywords and things stand out a little more. So from the syntax coloring, we're going to click that drop down and we're going to click on VB script. All right. Everyone there? VB script is the default. I mean, VB script is the program. Huh? Yeah.
What section are you under tools? I couldn't hear it or see your screen for a moment.
Oh, I'm under tools, text editor. Tools options, text editor on the right hand side.
One second, I'm trying to.
And then you're gonna click on fonts and colors over here on the left.
Okay.
Right. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna click on comment here. Now you can see this is green. We're gonna uncheck italic. This is just, I mean, you can leave it however you want. I don't like mine italicized. And I'm gonna change my color. I like red for mine. Make it more like, so we're just gonna change this value here to 255. Yep, that's it. Just hit enter. So right here where it says R, it's going to change it to 255. You can either use this, you can use these little arrows too to change the color, but just type in 255 and click outside that box and it should save there. For strings, I'm going to make them blue, like totally blue. So I'm going to click that. This will make it easier for everyone to see visually also. So we're just going to go to the blue section here and just type in 255 and make red 0. Everything else is going to be 0. Hit enter. All right, so now I have blue text. The comments should be now be red. String should be blue. Everything else will leave the same. So this gives you a little preview here, what we'll be looking at. So comments here will be in red, strings will be in blue. Should make it easier for everyone to read. After all those settings, we're just going to click OK. Okay, I haven't seen that before. All right, well, hopefully it's saved. Let's see. Yeah, it did. Okay. All right, everyone should be, let me know when everyone's caught up, or anyone who's not caught up, give a shout.
Sorry, I'm not caught up.
Okay. You are caught up?
I'm not.
Okay.
Can you repeat
You're
the
not?
steps? No. I went under tools, I went under option, text editor, and then I'm not sure where to go next.
Okay, tools, options. Did you set your GUI testing options here under web? Web page frame options, different tests. Did you set those?
Where is that at?
Under tools, options, and then GUI testing tab. Expand
Tools,
web.
option, GUI testing. No, I did not.
Yeah, go to GUI testing.
Okay.
Then click on expand the web triangle down here at the bottom left.
Okay, got it.
Expand web, click page frame options.
Okay.
Click the two radio buttons for different test object descriptions. These two here.
Okay, got it.
All right, now we're going to click on text editor on the top right.
Got it.
Click on fonts and colors on the left.
Mm-hmm.
All right. From this little drop down here under syntax and coloring, we're going to select VB script. Like that.
Okay.
All right. Click on comment here.
Okay.
All right. And then uncheck italics. So I don't uncheck the italic box.
did.
And then click on the red where yours is probably green, so click that, and then just type in the where it says R, type in 255, and G and B should both be 0 and 0, and then you're just gonna
R you said 255.
Yeah, R should be 255. Change it to red, and then just click outside that box, and it should change it to red. Then for string,
I'm sorry, there was a pop-up screen. I couldn't. Can you? Sorry.
Okay. And then click
So
on string.
I'm under R. I have 255.
Okay, and then change it to red.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay, so under, I mean, the box where next to the R, I did put 255.
Yeah.
Make it turn into red, or do I need to change anything else? B is 0.
That's it. That's all you have to do is change it to red.
Okay, and you had B 255 as well?
Yeah, B is for under string. Now click on string, and we're gonna click on
B
that
then?
again. Yeah, string,
Okay,
and
hold
then
on.
B should
One
be
second.
255. No, this should
So B should have been 0.
Yeah.
And then go under string.
Got it.
G was 1 or 0?
0. Everything's 0. For the string, everything should be B should be 255. Everything else should be 0.
And H you have 240.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about those.
Okay, so just B
Now
255.
now just click OK. It should be good.
Okay. It says current property page hasn't been created yet.
Yeah, just click OK or whatever. It's on there.
Okay.
All right. Everyone's caught up now? We are good. All right. So now we have our tests. Go ahead and click save if needed. All right. So the application that we're going to test today, we're going to use a mortgage calculator just to get started. Let's go ahead and everyone type in a single quote. Single quote in UFT is a comment. So we can go ahead and type in your name at the top. I'm going to type my name. Or typically you have what's called a header. So, we can create like headers out of our scripts. We put, make it look pretty. Tester, our Craig Mia. Application, we can say mortgage calculator. All right. This is a sample. Like typically we have.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yes.
Yeah, would you do on the first line, please, again?
Oh, it's just a single quote. So I just did equal signs. You can use whatever you want. You can do like a single quote and stars, whatever you want to delineate.
Trying to make it pretty.
Just to kind of offset it. It's whatever you want to design. So.
Thanks.
Hey, Greg, Shamsu here. I think the question was to know when you comment out what you need to use. I think how you make the comment.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. It's a single quote. We can also use the keyword REM. So, like, say if I had, if I wanted to comment this line out, I could also type remark REM comments out too. But typically, we just use a single quote. Single quote knocks everything out. You'll see in other languages they have ones that you can remark out entire lines at one time using like this format, but we don't have that in this language here. All right, so this is VB script again. This is the language we'll be using. We also have the option, say if we had like a whole bunch of text and we wanted to comment it out, we can highlight everything, and then we can right click and we can click comment, right? That's gonna comment everything out, okay? So this code is no longer active, okay? So if this is lines of code and we want to comment out a bunch of code at one time, that's the way we do it. And to uncomment that code, we would just go and right click again on our mouse and click uncomment. And then this code becomes active, so this can cause errors and so forth if the code's not written correctly. All right?
Hey, Greg, quick question.
Yes.
Does it matter if our text is italicized? I don't know why, but our text is italicized.
You said the font size? What was that question again?
The text is italicized.
Oh, the font size?
No, the text itself is italicized.
Oh, italicized. Oh, yeah. I just under the tools option, so that's personal preference. Mine is not to have it italicized. I just don't like that, visually. So yeah, that was just like a checkbox, like back under tools, options, text editor. If we go back to fonts and colors and we select the VB script and select on comment here, over here on the right hand side there's italics. So if I check that box, it would be italicized. And here's like a little preview window down here to show the italicized and not italicized. I just prefer not to have it italicized. Just visually, I just like it better when it's red. That's just personal preference. Again, any of these options you can change to default, however you like to program or view your screen. Having red comments is going to be similar to other applications that you might be other IDEs that you guys might be developing in. Say if you're doing database, like if you're using SQL. And most text editors there, when you comment something out, it's going to be red. Most strings are going to be blue as well. So just kind of make it uniform. When you guys move on to the Selenium section, it should be easier for you guys to, assimilate into that. And again, so let's get back to creating our first script. One very important caveat here is that the application that we're going to test, again, is called AUT, application under test. So in HP world, anything that we're testing is the application under test. You want to make sure that you open that application after you open UFT. Okay, so UFT has to inject some bindings and things like that, so it can actually record against those applications or interact with those applications prior to launching it. So for instance, if I wanted to record a web page and I opened up my web page first and then opened up UFT, UFT is not going to recognize any of those objects on there. So you're basically going to have to start over. You're going to have to close your application. You can leave UFT open, but you're basically going to have to close your application and then restart it. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch Internet Explorer. Now, I want everyone to go to mortgagecalculator.org, and I'm going to type in this URL into the chat message now, so everyone has it. Everyone go to visit that URL there. Is everyone on the web page? I assume you are if you're not shouting out. All right. So we'll go ahead and save this test here. So far what we have here is we just have comments on screen, right? All right, let's go ahead and type at the top, option explicit. Option explicit is just, I like to use it. It's a command in VB script that tells the script that everything has to be declared beforehand. So when we're creating variables and things like that, we want to make sure that they're declared. It just keeps debugging and things like that cleaner. And when you're working, you know, for different companies, you know, they're going to have like their different coding standards and so forth. VB script is a non-declared language. If you're familiar with Visual Basic, you have to declare your type. So if I was to create a variable, dim is how we declare variables in VB script. So anything that we declare, we say dim j, dim obj object, dim. Okay. So the naming convention, when we have strings, I'll go into that a little bit further for those of you who haven't programmed. String is just basically a string of characters, like a line of characters. It could be a name, like my name. These are typically I's are like letters and so forth. They usually signify integers. Some functions that are built into VB script, even though the language is not typed as in terms of a programming language, like you don't have to declare what type of value it is. Some functions only work, say, with strings, or only work with like integers, or only work with like longs and so forth. So here we've declared a variable. In VB script, in Visual Basic, you would type dim I as, say, integer. Like if I wanted to create like an integer and so forth. But it's not, you do not do this. You do not do this in VB script. It's untyped language. Okay. So again, so I'm just giving an example here. This is a quick. So we can say I, and then we can assign it a value. So you declare it first, and then you can give it a value. I equals 1. We can say j equals 2. So these are integers. And then we could say string. So we coding standards typically, like when you have values. So we have dim str name. So that means because we're proceeding with str, that means it's a string. So we could say str name equals, and then quotes. All strings are surrounded by double quotes. Great. Okay. So that's just a quick. We'll delve deeper into coding, as we move forward. But you'll see these as we record. You'll see values like this in the screen, as we record. So I'll go ahead and delete all this stuff here. It's not necessary. All right. Go ahead and click save. All right, everyone should have their mortgage calculator up. The screen here might not be exactly the same if there's dynamic values on the page. Okay. So for instance, this add might be different and so forth. All right, we're going to go ahead and click the record button, which is this red button here. You can also press F6 as a quick start, but we're going to go ahead and click the record button, which is this red circle button on the screen. Go ahead and click that, everyone. You're going to see your record and run settings come up. So we're going to say record and run on any browser, okay? And we're testing a web application here, so we're going to say record and run on any browser. So we're just going to click OK here. From here, your UFT is going to shrink, and you're going to see this recording bar. Everyone should see this now. And this will tell you as you're recording where it's being recorded. And it gives us actual different tools that we can use while we're recording. Okay. So let's just go ahead and we're going to interact with our application. One thing, typically like when you're typing, you want, you tab between between fields. UFT used to record like an extra step. I think now it doesn't do that quite anymore. So, but typically when you're recording, you want to click between fields. Like as we move from field to field, we want to click between them to interact with them, right? So as you saw, I just went from field to field. This number here changed from 0 to 2. So we've actually just recorded 2 steps. So let's go back to home value here. Let's type in 500,000. I know all of you who want to lease a house, you know, that much. Well, depending on where you live. For down payment, we're going to let's click the percentage sign. As we're recording, you'll see over here again, back on our recording bar, this number has increased to 5. So as we're interacting with this application, the tool is recording, right? So now let's go ahead and put down, let's say we'll put down 20%, standard 20%. All right, so this box here changed. Interest rate. So let's go ahead and we'll change the interest rate. I think rates are increasing a little bit, so we'll change it to 4.5%. Our loan terms. Okay, so now we're going to put in 15-year mortgage. All right, now our start date. We're going to click the drop down. We'll select April. And go ahead and click here, click in the year. Click 2019, just so it's recorded. And then we can go back and change it back to 2018. Property tax, we'll give it a value, we'll just say 5,000 per year. PMI, 0. I don't know, we'll put 1%. We're just giving it values just so it records. Monthly HOA, we put 100. And then we're just going to click calculate. If you get this message, learn about, just select now. All right, so that was our mortgage calculator. Now we're going to go ahead and click stop. Everyone should have a script that looks similar to this, might not look exactly alike. All right, something similar to this.
I didn't get the last step.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't have one which is end with, and then you have something win objects and parentheses.
Okay, that's
notification.
Very
I don't
good.
have that.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you guys something. All right, so if I highlight my script, I can hold on, guys. Some of you might have a script that looks like this. Edit, format. Some of you guys might have a script like this, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is much harder to maintain. Okay, so when we look at this, VB script has VB script has a coding construct called a with statement, right? So we're interacting, again, this hierarchy for our web page is based on this, our application is based on this browser, right? So we have, let's go, we decompose. So this is actually very important, so listen closely to this. Like I said, everything is composed of objects, right? So our main object that we have on our screen is the browser, correct? Within that browser, so there's a hierarchy here. So we go browser. The next we have the page, which is this actual web page, which is the HTML on this page, right?
No.
So when we're, yeah.
I get lost from, I guess, the browser from what, the first line, and the other line they say web number, web number, web number. It's not browser like yours.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm giving an example. Just 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. For those of you who didn't select the with statements, okay, so there's a hierarchy here of our application, right? So we have the browser, then we have the page, and then on that page we have the objects. Okay, so again, our browser, this is very important whether you're doing any type of test automation. There's a hierarchy, so whether you're doing Selenium, UFT, the application or the testing tool has to be able to interact with our application. So the hierarchy is the browser itself. Okay. Beneath that, we have the page. The page has all the objects on the page. Within that page, we have the web number, right? But while we're coding, okay, so this is the expert view for UFT, right? While we're coding, this can be very tedious to maintain, right? So that's why everyone should have with statements enabled. So let's go back for all of you who are seeing this view here, right, where it says browser, .page, .web number, every single one. We're going to go back to the tools menu. Go back to tools.
That
I couldn't hear you.
I didn't.
Everyone
see
who's no. If you, right. So you don't have to worry about this. Everyone who's seeing this view here, where it says browser, we're seeing all these objects are the same. Like these few lines, the beginning of each line is the same. You need to go back to tools, options, GUI testing. Okay, everyone should be on this, or not everyone. If you are seeing this view, your script looks like the one I just showed on my screen, and you want to go to GUI testing, and you want to select the statement that says automatically generate with statements after recording. Okay, go ahead and select this. This checkbox here should be selected, and we're going to click OK. All right. So everyone should be there. So now, yeah.
Sorry, Greg. Hi, this is Charles. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Actually, my...
Wait,
Sorry.
one person at a time, please. Go ahead.
Mine is not recording, like it's not doing anything.
It didn't record anything?
No. It doesn't show that the recording test is increase the number.
What browser are you using?
Internet Explorer.
No,
version?
Edge. No, this is Edge. Oh, I see the problem. Oh, Greg, I think he's using Edge. That's why the problem is, because he doesn't have
okay.
for install.
Okay, everyone should be using Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Greg, so how do we know that? Okay, you tell the UFT software to record from Internet Explorer because you typed in on line 6. It says option explicit, right? But how were you able to give them a command saying, hey, record this stuff from Internet Explorer? Where does it say it?
Okay. Remember when I first clicked the record button here? When I first clicked the record, the web options. Oh, the web options have popped up. Let me stop recording. Hold on 1 sec. You can go to record and run settings. But this pops up when you first start. This box right here popped up when we first clicked the record button. Okay. Right. So here, the option said record and run on any browser. So this is what we select. So I had already had Internet Explorer open, so that's what popped up.
Okay, so like then why wouldn't it work for him? Because he also
correct.
Because the newest version of UFT requires like a special some special functionality in order to some special settings in order to record on Edge. We're actually not using that yet. It's not quite as mature. So they're still working on some of that functionality.
So
it does work.
Sorry.
What was that?
Had he picked Google Chrome, that probably would have worked.
Yeah, Chrome works. only certain versions, like up to a certain version, and I'm not sure what version of Chrome you have installed and what's supported yet. So for instance, if Chrome, Chrome and Firefox are constantly coming out with new versions of their browser. So HP has to make sure that their tool is compatible with that still. So typically there's like a patch or something that they have to come out with to make sure that your browser is supported. So I'm only doing Internet Explorer because I put Internet Explorer 11 on my machine, and I know it's compatible with that. But so everyone should basically be using like Internet Explorer. I should have mentioned. So everyone should be using Internet Explorer to record their script on, right? And actually, let's go back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Within Internet Explorer, everyone, if you click on Tools, Internet Options, and we click on the Programs tab, we can click the Manage Add-ons. Oops. Yeah. Click Manage Add-ons, and everyone should have this HPE Functional Testing Agent. It should be enabled. Okay. This allows the HP add-on to work with the browser. Okay. So we can record and play back. So this should be enabled. The Micro Focus HPE Functional Testing Agent should be enabled. Okay. All right, now, so back to the script again. So everyone, if we're back here on the script again here, and if I click on Edit, Format, Script, I'm going to remove the with statement. So anyone whose script looks like this, when you recorded it, all you're going to do is go to Edit, click on Edit, Format, and then you're going to click Apply With to Script. Okay? These are with statements. Okay? And we're going to click OK.
Hello, Greg.
Everyone's yes.
I'm sorry, I ran the test in Chrome, so my script doesn't look like this script. Can you run quickly just again about how to run the script again with Internet Explorer?
With Internet Explorer. Yeah, just if you already, you can just go ahead and open up Internet Explorer and just record. Just delete your script, like just you can just highlight your script, like whatever you have recorded, like this, and just click the delete button, and that'll delete your script. Or you can create a new one. You can start a new one. It doesn't matter. And then you're just gonna click record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me know if you have any issues. All right, everyone caught up here? So everyone's script should look like this now. Now, as I mentioned before.
Hey, Greg, sorry to interrupt. So basically, I'm with you, but whenever I'm getting that browser / page, that the other page that you were showing. So when I go to edit and I go to format and I click on apply with script, it's giving me cannot apply. It's giving me an error. HPE undefined functional testing. It's an error that I'm getting. Hold on 1 second. I'm not hearing you. So yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm getting interference.
Yeah, you cannot apply with statement because of the syntax error in your script.
Syntax error. You might have typed some. You might have typed some extraneous text. I'm getting feedback from someone. Can everyone mute their phone except for the caller, please? All right. So you probably typed some extraneous code in there that's not allowing it to format the with statement. So like you might have something that's off a little bit.
Okay. So
if you want, you can just if you want, you can just re-record a quick script, and that will show you. And then like delete everything and just re-record it, and then it'll apply the width to it.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're back here. Okay, so again, everyone, back to our script. I mentioned the hierarchy here, right? So this with statement here, there's a hierarchy whether you're using Selenium, UFT, and our page, our objects on the page are all contained within the browser. Next, we have the page, right? So we don't want to have to type that every time, or it's more difficult to edit our code when it's shown like that. So we want to use with statements. So you'll go to a lot of companies, and like I'll laugh when I see their scripts, and it's just like a lot of recording, and you just see like that same browser page all the way down. I mean, so difficult to read and so difficult to edit. It's just really time consuming. So like when you are on the job and you recognize these things, people that are just doing record and playback scripts are using that method. So that's one of the issues, that I've seen before. So as you guys notice, so we have browser here. Let's go, and on the left-hand side of the screen, everyone should have what's called the Solution Explorer. All right, so go ahead, and if you might have it pinned, so you might, oops, it might look like, shoot, I got locked up there.
Are we still recording or stop recording?
No, you can keep recording. It's fine.
Because I don't see the script. You just said
here, it should be here.
Yeah, I don't see it on my screen.
Can everyone see the script? Can everyone see my screen?
We can see it.
Oh, okay. All right, so everyone should see the Solution Explorer over here. Some people might have it pinned. Otherwise, just highlight where it says Solution Explorer. Click the little plus button. This represents our test script. So everything here is an action. This test script here is known as an action. Okay. If we expand that action, we'll see what's called local. And this is the object repository. So let's double click on the object repository. And that'll open the object repository. All right. So now everyone should be able to see. Now this is the hierarchy that I was talking about before. So here we have the mortgage calculator. So when we go back, shrink this down a little bit. We click on, this represents our application that we've recorded so far. And this is everything that we've interacted with in our script is actually recorded in this object repository. This is, like again mentioned, any type of automation that we're using. Some type of automation uses coordinates on the screen, but that's that's old-fashioned and ineffective, because what happens if an object moves on our screen? Say we redesign our user interface, right? Say we move this home value up an inch or two, on the screen, or we move it over here to the right side of the screen, right? This whole screen changes. So any type of tool that uses coordinates to record is not going to function correctly. And people have seen breakage with those type of scripts. Also, on my monitor, I might have a different screen resolution than you might have on yours. So it makes the scripts, they have to be run on the same screen resolution and so forth. And not everyone even has the same screen resolution or same screen size, right? So those objects aren't going to appear in the same place. So we never use like coordinates or anything like that to create our scripts. So again, UFT, we use what's called the object repository, and we can also, later on, we'll show you what's called descriptive programming, where we can actually bypass the object repository. But for now, everything that we've interacted with has been recorded in this object repository. Here, if I click on, I'm highlighting right now the mortgage calculator itself, which is the browser object. Okay, so we look on the right-hand side where it says Object Properties. We give this a name, it says Mortgage Calculator, right? So that by default, UFT recognized the name of that browser window and gave it Browser Calculator as the object name. Here we have creation time, right, which is 0 right here under identifier. So say some applications work with multiple browsers, correct? So say, for instance, we opened up another tab here, and say if this was part of our application, some applications open up multiple browsers. UFT has to be able to recognize which browser is which, okay? So we can give it descriptive properties. So the first one we know as, we can give it the title name, Mortgage Calculator, okay? A lot of times it's added by default, or you can add it yourself, so you give it properties. Again, all these properties uniquely identify this browser. So we know it's that the open title is Mortgage Calculator, number of tabs 1, and so forth. These are all the different properties. Does it have a toolbar? What version of the browser was open in, the X and Y locations, and so forth. So we can assign these different properties to uniquely identify it. The ordinal identifier, creation time. Okay, so for instance, when we browse, when we open this window, this is the first browser that was open. So UFT uses a 0-based indexing. So for instance, the first browser is 0. The second browser we open up, so the second browser here, this would be known as creation time 1, right? So this is number 1, which is actually the second browser open, and so forth. So it's just like, if any of you are familiar with arrays, it's 0-based, okay? Smart identification set to true. I usually turn this off. Basically, UFT has built-in technologies called smart identification. If an object changes, say like our developers go and change something, it'll use those other various properties. Say something changes on the screen, or something changes somewhere within this description of this object. It'll use the rest of the properties to try to uniquely identify that this is the correct browser that we want it to interact with here, which is this Mortgage Calculator here, right? So we can go ahead and, in this object repository, we have this highlight button here. It's next to the circle object. So right here, if we click that, we see that it highlights still, right? So that object is the same. If I were to change this name, maybe Mortgage Calculator 2, we know that's not the correct title for the window. It should not highlight. Yeah, see, it can't be found, right? Because the title of the window is not Mortgage Calculator 2. It's actually Mortgage Calculator, correct? That uniquely identifies it. So we can click on highlight again. Oops. Enter. Click highlight. It should recognize it, okay? Now, you might have windows that dynamically change names, right? So we might come across window that maybe it might say Mortgage Calculator dash enter data, and then after we've typed in our data, it might say, like for instance, like while we're typing, when we first encounter the page, it might say Mortgage Calculator enter data here, right? And then after we've entered our data and we've submitted, it might say results or something, you know. That might be the name of the window or the page. We can actually use what's called regular expressions, right? So maybe we want to just make sure that the page has mortgage in it, and it'll create that. So we can click on this little button over here to the right-hand side in the name itself. Again, let me go back. This little button here. When you click in the name, you'll see this option here for all the objects have this. So you can click that, and I can click on regular expression. And now I can click, I just want to make sure that everything that starts with mortgage, so I can put a dot star at the end. And just click OK. And now this page is still highlight, right? Because the page starts with mortgage. And then anything else that follows, the dot star is telling it that any any other text that follows in that name, it will still match that page. Correct. All right. So back down to the hierarchy now. So we have the mortgage calculator, and then underneath that we have the page itself.
Greg,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think we somehow muted ourselves. Damn it.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know. Do we follow along with you? Like when you came to this dialog box?
Oh no, you don't have to follow. I'm just explaining the way that the object repository works. Yeah, please ask any questions. Feel free to ask any questions.
Okay. So you have
basically.
Go ahead.
No, basically, I'm going down the hierarchy of the way that the application records and what's recorded in the object repository, so that you guys can understand the bigger picture of automation. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So again, here's the page, and here's all the objects that we've interacted with. Okay. So again, we can click on the highlight button. This highlights the page, and as we've gone down, we can say what our home value is. So we can look down here and click on home value, and that'll highlight. So that's how we know that it recognizes. So these types here are known as web numbers. The type number, the name that is given is home value. So here, does everyone have the object repository open? While you're reading the test, to make it easier to read, we can actually go through and rename these values here, right? So this here says home value, so we can match what's on the screen. This makes it easier to read. So we can actually go here and type home value here, rename that, just hit enter, and that renames it home value, and that still highlights here. Now if we go back and look at our script, it automatically updates the home value here as well, home value. Okay, so rename that name here. So this script is this script and BB script is pointing to this map here. This is how it uniquely identifies it, and it's saying enter 300,000 in that first value, right? So this is a string. It's going to set this value of 300,000 into that home value field. This is exactly the way the script works. Okay, so we can go back and we can rename any of those objects that we want. So we can make this down payment and so forth. So go ahead and close that. Some extra. All right, go ahead and save your script, everyone. All right, is this a good time to take a quick break, everyone? Take like a quick 10-minute break, maybe?
Okay.
All right. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Everyone be back at, say, 11, well, let's make it like 8 minutes, 11:30. That's good. Everything. And just click delete. Got it. All right. Hit the wrong button on that computer. So I'll just run through it. So just click delete. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna click the record button.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Let me see if there's a reset form. Hold on. Let me close this browser. Let's refresh. All right, so now we've started off from the beginning. Left the home value in. All right, so you're just gonna click the record button here.
Okay.
And then you're just gonna interact with the application, just fill in the value. So let's go and so home value here. Just type in maybe 350,000, whatever values you want to type. So
okay.
Here, for down payment, you can either put money wise, like, or I selected down payment. We'll do 25%. Interest rate, we can 4.25, whatever. Loan term, you can put 30 years. Start date, we can put May. Um, 2018. Property tax, maybe 4,000. We just want to change the values that are in here. PMI, 1.5%. Home insurance, maybe 2,000.
Doesn't matter what we put, right?
Exactly, we're just recording. Yeah, so then monthly HOA. Yeah, you just want to fill in any values, and then just click calculate.
And that should fill up my script.
Yep, that will record your script, and then just click stop on the recording bar.
Okay.
And then you should have something look similar to this.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, got it.
Yep, thank you.
I get it. Cannot apply with statement because there's a syntax error in your script.
Oh, you still have that?
Yeah.
You might just want to go through that recording process again, record again, or you might have typed something extraneous in your script.
Option. Explicit.
Greg?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of us writing option explicit? What does that do?
Option explicit tells the code that you write that you need to declare all the variables ahead of time. Everything needs to be declared. If I don't have option explicit, like if I didn't have this here, then I don't have to declare variables. I could just say like for I equals that, and this variable as a variable, it would allow it to run. Like I don't have to declare my variable at a time. But it just, when you use option explicit, it keeps everything cleaner for debugging purposes, you know, things like that. So it's just good practice to follow. Like anywhere in the industry you're gonna want to use option explicit.
Okay.
And that'll also be more so like when we start writing functions and things like that. All right. So is everyone back now? All right. So okay. So we're back. We're back into the application now. We'll go ahead and click save. Let's go.
I'm still
Everyone
not
go
there.
back. What's that?
Expected statement for test 2. Because I created just a new test called QA test 2 and started this, but it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, just create a new test.
I did. Okay, I'm gonna create another new test. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And enter the new data.
Okay, create.
Yeah, new test. And then just record on your risk calculator. Just record the fields.
Okay, and then go to option. Click on option, right?
No, you don't have to do that. Only the first time you want to know. You can just record your new test. Just type option explicit and you can record your new test. Yeah, for everyone, those option settings that we set, that's a one-time thing. UFT from here on out should save all your options, and it should not be an issue going forward.
Okay, so type option explicit.
And just record your script. Does anyone else have any questions out there? Everyone caught up? All right.
Bullying.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah. One
Hi,
sec. My computer. Hold on 1 second. My computer actually.
Could you please explain the third line web radio group?
Yeah, web radio group is like a set of radio buttons.
Okay.
And, you know, it's showing the option. You can either select on web money or percent to select.
Okay, thanks.
Can you guys hold on 1 second? Bear with me. Shamsu. Shamsu. Okay. Is everyone caught up? All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's open up the object repository again. So again, go to Solution Explorer, and then you're going to double click on local. All right. Everyone should have their object repository open. Now, within the object repository, we have some tools here. One very important tool that we have is called the Object Spy, right? So this guy, this icon here with the hat on, with looks like some glasses with the Object Spy, we're going to click that. This gives us the ability to look into the objects within the UI as well, right? And see those individual properties. Hang on a second. So within the page, right? So we have some things that are displayed here. We can use a SPY and inspect the objects on the page. So if we were to go and see, we didn't add this link here to the page, so let's go ahead and click on the little finger, and then we're going to go ahead and you'll see the objects in the page start highlighting. And this gives us various information about those objects on the screen, right? So as we highlight over, don't click it, but just highlight over the objects on the screen, we can see the properties that define those objects. Again, so here we have, for instance, the property tax is a web number object. That's the class name for this object. This is a web list, the start date, and so forth. This here is a web link. Here, this link here. So we didn't actually click on this before, but we might want to add this to our application, right? So we can go ahead and highlight that and make sure that's the element that we want. So we want to take that link, and we might want to add it to our object repository. So now we can click this green plus button here with the square underneath it and click and add that to our object repository. Now we see that that link has been added to our object repository. Okay. Again, we might want to check our mortgage payment summary screen, right? So we can SPY again, and we might want to check our monthly payment, right? So let's see. We'll click on this value here. All right, so that would represent the monthly payment. Here's the tag. It's a HTML3. When we're using Selenium, you might want to use XPath to define it. So any property that uniquely identifies that object. See, we only know that it has an HTML tag. It doesn't have an HTML ID or a name to represent that down payment. It just has a tag and some values in there. Correct. So, but we can go ahead and add that to our object repository as well. And we'll just call this, we can rename it to monthly payment. All right. So it's an index 0. We can turn off smart identification here. And we can actually add in a property. We'll actually add in the XPath.
Greg?
Yes.
I think I wasn't able to follow along whatever you were doing earlier, because I think if you go back like few steps back, I wasn't able to generate that thing that you had up there. It's a monthly payment, loan amount, and PMI percentage and stuff like that.
Oh, you don't have any of this?
I don't have the same.
Oh, did you guys record your script? You guys weren't able to record a script at all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you do have this then?
No, I don't have. I have like, you know, the whatever is down below right there, home value, down payment, and all that. But whatever's up there, I don't have that, like PMI percentage, monthly. Yeah, right there, the one you're going over, like loan amount.
Get today's best. Oh, okay, got you guys. Okay, so there's two ways. So what I did was I spied on it. So again, you can use the object SPY. This tells us the different properties.
Okay, so all right.
So click that SPY right here.
Okay, object SPY. I clicked on object SPY. Okay.
Now we can click this little finger button where it has the finger, and then we can, as we move around our application, you see the different objects on the screen highlight.
Okay.
And don't. So we can go and click on Get Today's Best Mortgage Rate, the link, the red link in red. Just click on that. Now you'll see that it's a web element, but it's also a link. So click on the link, the one that's a link here in the hierarchy. So it goes browser, page, link. So click on the link.
Okay.
And then click on the highlight button right here, this little green box here. And you'll see that it highlighted. So that's the correct object, right? That's what we want.
Okay.
And then you're just going to click the little green plus sign right next to it where it says Add to Object Repository.
Well, when I on the website, when I clicked on the get today's best mortgage rates, it took me to the next page.
Oh, it took you to, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I didn't want you to click that. I just wanted you to, okay, yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show how to add the object to the page.
Okay, and then click the highlight in application button, right?
Right. Yeah, you don't have to. I was just showing you that's how it recognizes the object.
Okay.
Okay. All right, got you. Anyone else need any help? All right, so let's go back to our object repository now. Let's rename some of these values so for readability purposes. Okay, so let's go down the line and we'll just look at our GUI, at our UI application and our object repository. As we work down, we start with the home value field. We've already renamed that to home value. This is for readability purposes. Down payment field. Let's find that. Down payment type. Down payment. We've renamed that to down payment. If you have not already, go ahead and rename this field up here. You can give it any name, but we want to match. Typically, you want to match here in the UI what's here in the object repository with what's in the UI. So down payment, down payment. Okay. Next, we have loan amount. So we'll find the loan amount field. Loan amount. Oh, no. Let's add it. Loan amount. Oh. Okay, so I'm not seeing the loan amount.
Isn't the principal the loan amount is same?
I don't see it in mine. Okay. Anyway, if I wanted to add that field, right? If I just want to add the UI objects to the screen, I can just click this little plus sign here, add objects to repository, and I can just click on the property tax. It's already there. Loan amount. So I click on here, loan amount, principal. And here, okay, there it is, the principal. Now that field's been added, I can go down. I can actually drag and drop that value that I just added here, and I can drag and drop that from the object repository to my script, and it'll automatically add the code. But you see, it hasn't been added with it to the with statement. So we can go ahead and delete everything before that. And that sets the value here. So we can type in how much we want our house value to be. Right. Now we can actually go ahead and rename that value where it says principal. And we can type in loan amount there. That way it's easier to read. That's why I was getting thrown off. Loan amount. Okay. Interest rate. I'm going to rename that to interest rate. Loan term. Make sure that's the right field. Loan term. Yep. So highlight that. We can put loan term. We can rename this to down payment type. Click on the highlight button, and that highlights it. Make sure it's the correct one. We'll go back to the HOA and rename this monthly HOA to match what's in the UI. Oops. Home insurance. Home insurance, we'll rename. PMI. Property tax. So we start here. This will be down payment type. This will be start month. So basically, we're just renaming everything to match what's in the UI. I'll wait for everyone to get caught up. When I go back to I'm going to close my object repository, but everyone should look similar to this. Doesn't have to look exactly, but it should look similar.
Hey, Greg, there was a question, actually, request to go a little bit slower on the screen as some people are interacting with the two monitors. So
Okay, got you.
Okay.
All right, yeah, so I'll give everyone a second to catch up.
I got caught up now. I got the script running, and I named it the mortgage calculator, and I get stopped there.
Okay.
So I went to the test object from the tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I named the first field mortgage calculator, the second mortgage calculator, and then I see calculator. Yeah, I went to local.
Yeah, you double click on local.
I did.
You can see it. How many pages do you have? Just one, right?
Yeah,
one
so I just started the first one, mortgage. I didn't get the get today's best mortgage. That's icon. I did not get this two first. Yeah, I'm good with this two.
Okay. Now you can rename the objects on the screen to you can rename these to match. So if you click on them and click on the highlight.
Okay,
yeah.
But I mean the get today's best mortgage. I didn't see that link on my.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry about it because we're not gonna click on it anyway. I was just showing people how to add the objects to the screen.
Okay, if you leave it there for a second, for a few minutes, this will be good.
Yeah. Please mute your phone. All right, is everyone caught up? If you're not, just give a shout or just type in the comment box if you need more time. All right, so I'm going to close the object repository. Now, if we go back to our script, we're going to see the steps in order. So we can actually read down the line. The home value that we're going to type in is $350,000. We're going to put a down payment percentage. We're going to set the down payment to 25%. I mean, this is what I have. You might have different recorded values. 20 and change it. All right. Does everyone have their screen set? Okay, now we can go back and run this test. Everyone's mortgage calculator should be up. And as we go, it should type in the values that we have in our screen. So we can actually go ahead and change some values here in our test, so the test will be different this time. So we might want to, I have $350,000 as my loan, so as home value, so I'll type in 500,000 for this one. For money down, I'm going to have select, for down payment type, we're going to select money. And for the down payment, I'm going to put down, 100,000. The loan amount will be the difference. So I guess it'll be 400,000. The interest rate we can leave 4.25. The down payment type 30. Start month we'll do May 2018. Property tax 4,000. We'll choose 5,000. We'll leave the rest of the values the same, and then we can just click run and see what happens. Change that to 100.
Hey, Greg, before you run it, can you go to the object repository window for me, please?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, under the mortgage calculator, the page.
Yes.
You have the loan amount and the dollar sign under the calculate. Can you highlight that? I just want to see which one you have that on the page.
Okay. I don't remember interacting with that. Okay, so we don't even need that object, honestly. We don't need.
Okay.
So while we interacted with the application itself, it actually created that. So if there's something in, so like sometimes you guys want to go through and actually clean up your object repository. We actually don't need this object here. So it's highlighting this loan amount dollar. We can actually, we can go ahead and just delete that. We don't need that.
Okay, and one question on that one. So if we don't need any object and if we run the test, will that create any error?
It can, if it's something that was needed or that's recorded in the script and it comes across that line, then we just have that's where we'll debug it from there. Figure out. Okay, so monthly payment, PMI. Yeah, we don't need this PMI object either. That was recorded in my script. Right. So we'll go ahead and close this. We'll go ahead and save our script. So everyone go ahead and save. And then we'll just click run. See what happens. I'll do mine slow. What I'll do is I'll put what's called a breakpoint. So if you guys ever want your test to stop in a certain location before it runs, we can actually put what's called a breakpoint in. So over in this left-hand margin of the screen, if we were to click there, it'll put a red dot. And during our test execution, the script will actually stop at that location during the test run. So then we can check to make sure that those values, are going in as expected, right? So I'll go ahead and put a breakpoint here, and then we can see what's happening in the script. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click the run button, which is this triangle here. So you can either hit F5 or run. I'm going to go ahead and click run. Now, this is important. So when we run our tests, it actually creates a folder underneath, which is called a results folder. And this will take screenshots and other things like that, depending on what settings you have for the test. Go ahead and click this options drop down right here, all the way on the right hand side after you click and run. And that'll bring down where those results are going to be stored to. Okay. So while you're debugging and creating new tests, you always want to use temporary run results folder. Okay. So this one, because what can happen is if you create new run results folder, every time we run that test, it's going to create new folders and it's going to, just expand the size of the test unnecessarily. Underneath, it's going to create like subdirectories of test results that aren't needed. So while we're debugging, we're just going to run the test in create a temporary run folder, and then we're just going to run it. Okay, as you can see, the first value was typed in. It was typed in, overwrote the 300,000 and typed in the 500. Now I'm going to step through and run each step individually. And we'll see the values change as I click through. I'm just stepping through. You guys can actually just run yours. And we see the loan amount changed to 400,000. Interest rate just changed to 4.25. Loan term changed to 30. The start date turned to May. The PMI is going to change to 1.5. Home insurance 2,000. HOA. And now I'm going to click calculate. And now everything has populated in the test. Now we can check these test results and make all that. We can actually run checks and things like that. So here the temporary test results popped up. That should tell you that our test passed. Okay, this gives a check mark. Is everyone up to that point? Or did anyone have any issues? No questions or anything?
It just opened the web page, but it doesn't go through the entering the values.
Right. It didn't enter the values?
No.
Okay, so open up your object repository. make sure that it highlights. Like if you click on, if we go back to our object repository here, click on your mortgage calculator object, your hierarchy. You click on, make sure you guys only have one browser. And then click on highlight, make sure that it highlights there. Did that recognize? If that recognized, that's fine. And click on this. Click on the page object, make sure that recognized. If everything highlights, then you should be fine from there. And then click on some of your objects on there and just click this highlight button, this blue square. And if the object's recognized, your script should play back fine. This one didn't, but any of these values that are actually in my screen that are displayed at the time, make sure that these are all show up.
So selected object cannot be found in the application.
Which one? Which hierarchy?
Click the loan amount.
The loan amount. Okay, but what about if you click mortgage calculator up here? Does this recognize? Does this highlight?
No. Give me the same error message. Give me the same error message.
Same error message. Okay. So you're having Shamsu, is it possible for you to work with him to see what's wrong?
Yeah, there will be a continuation on this session. So if anyone having issue after the session, will troubleshoot those and repeat what been done by Greg and recap the whole session basically, and make sure everyone understands what's been taught today before the next class. So feel free to stay until the end of the session, and we'll continue the session.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sorry. All right, so we're back here. Now, let's go back to our test. So this test is pretty straightforward, right? Everything, the values that we're entering are pretty standard. We're not varying anything. So what happens if we want to change our home value, right? So during our next test iteration, we might want to not put the same home value in every time, right? We want to make our test dynamic. So this is where we do what's called data-driven tests, okay? So we want to parameterize these values here in our tests. All right, so our home value, right? So let's go ahead, that's the first value that we're entering in our test. Let's go ahead and at the bottom of your screen, everyone should see what's called the global sheet. Global here. This is basically an Excel spreadsheet that's stored underneath of our test. So if we were to look at this test through Windows Explorer, we would see that there's actually what's called a default.xls saved underneath the test script, and that represents this application here. Okay. So go ahead and double click on the A column, and you'll see this pop up. It'll say change property name. All right. So let's go ahead and put a different value in there. Let's go ahead and give it a name. So we're going to use home underscore value. All right. So there can't be any spaces within these names for the column names. So what we're doing right now is we're parameterizing the test. Okay. So we're going to give the test the ability to use dynamic values that are actually read from the spread table. Okay. So we're just going to double click on that column name and give it a value. We're going to call it home value and click OK. All right. Now we're going to type in value. So here, let's go ahead and type on the first row. We'll type 350,000. Then we might want to, the next row too, we want to type 400,000. Oops, 400,000. then maybe 500,000, maybe 1 million. All right. So now we have 4 rows of data. Now we might want to put down different down payments. So here, let's double click here. We'll put down underscore payment. Okay. Now I'm just going to give it, we can put different down payments in. We can put 150,000. Here we can put 400,000. Let's put maybe 40,000. 50,000. Maybe let's put 5,000. Million. We'll put 100,000. Okay. So I'll leave it here for now, so everyone's caught up. You can use you can use any values you want in this section right here, and we're just going to leave it right there. All right. Now, back up to our script. We have our script up here. We have the web number value where it's setting, which set is the function that actually enters the data, right? So now we're going to put a little comment. We're going to comment out the 500,000. And now we're going to use a built-in function called data table. So we're going to use data table. And we're going to give it the column name that we're actually going to put there, the home value. So we're going to put home underscore value, and then comma, DT global sheet. Okay. For down payment, we can do the same exact thing. So DT global sheet is a built-in value that's built into UFT. It just points to that first global sheet, the global sheet. Otherwise, the names go by the actual name of the sheet. So if we wanted to store data on the action sheet, we could put the value there. We would have to put name action 1 there. Conversely, for the global sheet where we have down payment, so there's 2 methods. So I could use that. I could use data table, and I could put down payment, comma, and I can put global like that, which is just the name of the name of the worksheet that's in the spreadsheet. Okay, so you can use either one, either method. So you can use DT global sheet or the actual name global right there. All right. Now you can parameterize any of these values in the script, so we can change this to May. We have like different starting months. We could actually go through and parameterize, you know, all these values here. Time sake right now, we'll just skip over doing all of it.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Can you make your unified function testing program a little bit wider?
All right, everyone's script should look similar to this. So we have the DT, the data table. Oops. So we're going to set the data table value. This is called parameterizing a script. We are now making the script data driven, everyone. Remember that these are interview type questions. We're making a data driven script.
I have a question on that one, Greg. So you have the data table global and then action one. Can we include more as we needed?
Oh, of course, yeah. So we can build on the script. So this is just like a pretty simple, mortgage calculator script. Yeah, so we can, yeah, we can definitely create more, add to the script, enhance it and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone caught up? All right, we're going to go ahead and run this script now. Again, I'm going to put a breakpoint in here so we can actually see the script as it goes through these values here. So I'm going to actually put a breakpoint here before the first one entered. Alrighty. Let's go up here. And we'll go ahead and run it again. Again, we're going to run in temporary mode and we're going to click run. Stop there. So now we're going to just run each individual step. And we'll see that the values change as it types in. Nope. Forgot to change loan amount, so that's not, it might not calculate correctly. But let's see. Okay, that's the first iteration. We're back on our data, so we see data table, global. So now we see that the second row is highlighted. So now we should see that the 400,000 is populated with $40,000 loan. So if we step into this, we now see that the home value is 400,000. Down payment is 40.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
How do you do a breakpoint?
Oh, and on the left-hand column of your screen, there's you just click in that left-hand column, and it'll put a red dot there, and that's a breakpoint.
Okay. And also under down payment, right? I had it under percentage, right? And then I changed it into a dollar value, right? And then it kind of gives a red number. So I know there's something wrong. So
okay. So these are things that we can change within the script, right? So let me go ahead and stop it here. And this is a part of making our scripts dynamic, right? Okay. So we want to make the script as dynamic as possible. So let's go back to our script actually and make some modifications here. Okay, so we have down payment type, right? So I actually didn't enter that. So let's create another column here, and we'll call it down payment type. Okay.
Okay.
So here, so the different down payment types, we have money, or we have percent, right?
Okay.
So we can actually change money or percent. I'm going to do money. Here we'll do percent. Okay, so let's go back up so everyone can see. That's not too confusing. Okay, so for money, so for the first house, we're gonna put a down payment type of money. So we're gonna change this here where it says the type we're selecting. We're gonna do data table, and we're gonna do down payment type. Make sure you put quotes, and then we're gonna put DT global sheet because it's reading from our global sheet. Okay, So now instead of we're going to put down money, so we're going to put $350,000 money, and we're going to put down a down payment of $150,000, right? And then we can actually parameterize loan amount too. So I noticed this, so we can do loan amount. And then here, we can vary our loan amount as well. So we can do data table, loan amount. And again, you can either put DT global sheet or you can put global. You want to be consistent across, so I'm just showing you different ways to do it. So either use DT global sheet across the whole thing or the word global, however you want. Just you guys always want to be consistent, you know, when you're coding. You know, that's something that's huge. All right, so now let's do some real scenarios. So down payment money, we're going to put $150,000 on the $350,000 loan. So that leaves us with $200,000 for a loan amount. Percent, we're not going to put a down payment of 40,000%. So we want to put maybe 20%. So here we'll use a percent. Again, percent, maybe here we'll use a 10%. And here on the last one, we'll use money. So our loan amount here, 20%, 300,000. 10%. 40. All right, so that's 90,000 there. All right. Let me know when everyone's caught up. Okay.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
My script kind of changed. The format looks kind of weird to me. Like for the comments, they're all green now, and they have like a comment symbol next to them to the left. I'm not sure what I did to make this change, but it looks a little funny.
Okay. Yeah. So you're just using like the default. So if your comments are in green, that's just the default settings for UFT. We can just go back later, and you can follow back through the. You can just go to Tools, Options, and then Script Editor, and then change that back, your comments back to like italicized, like not italicized in red. If you want, you can just go back through the video session and see how that's done. So basically, Tools, Options, Text Editor, Fonts and Colors, and then change this VB script, change the comment back to red. You're just going to click on that box here and change it to red, and uncheck italicized. Okay. And then strings.
Sorry, it wasn't just the comments that like change format, like the whole script changed format. Like, for example, like right now, it's kind of like a table setting right now. So for the down payment, it has like a column that says item on top, and then it says down payment for that line row. Then it says operation set, and then the value for data table down payment, the one that we entered, and the documentation has.
Make sure you click the stop button. Did you click stop? Click stop on your script. You shouldn't be it shouldn't be running anymore.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that might have been an issue. All right. No more comments. We'll go ahead and run this now. All right. Now what we're going to see is that the values are going to change. These radio buttons are going to change. And again, we want to parameterize like basically this entire script. Make sure that we want to make sure that the entire thing is parameterized and make it reusable as possible. Correct? Okay. So I'll go ahead and run this now. and then we can step through and see how the values change. So the first one, we're putting down payment money. All right, now we're on the second iteration again. Just going to change these values here. And this is how we make our test reusable, right? More dynamic. We want our test scripts to be dynamic. We can route our script based on the values in our data table. So we can add logic to our script, which I'll show you how to do later, how to do if statements and things like that, based on our data table. And again, next iteration, type. Okay, so we're on the last row. And that's it. Test results. Everything should be passed. Green check mark means passed. 0 failures. No red X's. We can go ahead and close this. And that's our first script right there. Now, say our browser is not open. We need to actually launch Internet Explorer and make sure that it's up and running, correct? So UFT has some built-in functionality, so we can go ahead and make UFT actually run Internet Explorer. So we can type okay. Someone asked, how do we run the test step by step? So again, here's the breakpoint here. You can either, let me delete this real quick. Okay, you see where I put the breakpoint. The test is automatically going to stop there at that breakpoint. So when I'm running the test, it's actually going to stop at that breakpoint. Now here in the up top, I can either step into, or I can click. Another option is you can click F11 on your keyboard, and it will step through each of those steps. So I just click this step into button continuously to step through each of the individual steps one at a time. Conversely, like, you can also put another breakpoint in. Like if I wanted to stop it up to this point, I can just click play again, and it'll stop up to that point. Okay. So again, you just want to step into each step of the process. All right. So back up top again. Let's say we want to open up. We want UFT to actually open up the browser itself. So we can use what's called a systemutil.run. So we can systemutil as built-in function .run, and we want to run Internet Explorer. So we can just type iexplore.exe, and then we're going to put our website, the name of our website, in there. Okay. So everyone should have something like this: systemutil.run iexplore.exe. And you can actually close the browser, and it should actually run that line there. We'll actually launch UFT. It will actually. Should be a comma there. Everyone should have this statement here. So iexplore, systemutil.run, iexplore.exe, mortgagecalculator.org, and we're just going to save that. Going to run it, and it should open the browser. Boom. Okay. Now sometimes we don't want our test to run unless something shows up on the screen, correct? We don't want our script to run right away, right? We want to make sure the page is loaded or so forth like that. So here we can use an if statement. So let's say we don't want our script to run unless that first value is shown on the screen, right? So unless this input box is shown, right? So we know the page is loaded at least, so we can at least enter the home value. So I'm going to go through the basic syntax of an if statement, okay? So we want to say if, and then we don't want to start the test until this home value field is here, is shown, this home value is displayed. So if that home value dot exists, okay? Exists is a very important built-in function in UFT, okay? So we can wait like, say we can put like 60 seconds, right? And this is the basic format for if statements. So if, then end if, okay? You can also have else statements in there as well. Else, you can, this is another, if you guys know about logic, or whoever doesn't know about logic, we're saying if this statement in here is true, then do these steps that are in between here. Else, we can do this, or if else, like there's other statements that we can run, okay? Else, try this, okay? So basically, we're not going to run any of these steps until this home value field shows up on the screen, correct? Does everyone understand? Oops. Delete that. Okay. So now we're not going to run any of these steps unless that home value field shows up. So everything goes within that if statement, right? So if the home value exists, then continue on. Now the exist statement is very important in UFT. A lot of you'll go to a lot of people who are inexperienced with creating UFT scripts, and they'll type wait 60 seconds, right? That's very inefficient. So for test automation, we want our scripts to run as fast as possible, correct? So we don't want to put an explicit wait statement in there that's saying wait a whole minute, or wait 30 seconds, or wait 10 seconds, or wait a certain amount of time, because that slows down our scripts. What the exist statement does is it'll say wait up until 60 seconds for this value to appear, for this object to appear, this web number home value to appear on the screen. It'll wait up to 60 seconds. If that home value, if it doesn't appear, then the script will fail, or that part will fail, okay? So we don't want to use wait statements. Sometimes they are necessary to use, but the majority of the time we don't want to use wait statements in our tests, okay?
Okay, just to clarify, Greg, here. So when we use exist, if the home value appear before 60 seconds, the script will run.
Exactly. So
okay.
say the home value appeared, say the home value field appeared within 3 seconds, the script will wait 3 seconds and then continue running. But it'll wait up until 60 seconds for it to run. Okay.
And versus the wait statement, which when it will wait till after. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll wait the exact amount of time you say. So if I put wait 300 seconds, it's going to wait 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Or if I wait 60 seconds or 30 seconds, it's going to explicitly wait that amount of time. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Okay. So at the end of our test, we're inside our if statement. We need to add one more step. So since we're opening the browser every iteration, we actually want to close the browser as well. So we want to add a browser mortgage calculator. And as we type, this gives you all the available functions that are built into UFT, right? So basically, we want to close after the calculation, we want to close all tabs. Okay, so it's going to close the browser. Then the next iteration, it's going to, well, actually, we can do it outside the loop. I apologize. Put it outside the loop. We're going to close the browser. Okay. Space things out for readability purposes. All right, so let's go through the script. Each iteration, we're going to launch our web browser. First step is going to launch the web browser. It's going to open up. It's going to look to make sure that this home value exists on the screen. Then it's going to go down and start typing in these values. And then it's going to close the browser. It's going to repeat those steps over and over, okay, for a total of, if we go to our data here, we can actually go and it's going to type in four iterations total, okay. Now okay, now I'll just go ahead and run that now. So let's go ahead and close the browser. So let's start. Save our script, run the test. I say how quick that is, much faster than any human could possibly do these tests. Yeah, green. Does anyone have any questions or need help? Because we're going to break for lunch. And then Shamsu will continue with the afternoon. I think we break for, was it 40 minutes? 30 minutes?
Greg,
I have a question.
I think 1:15. Okay, 12:40 to 45 minutes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Kind of test step by step. Okay, answered that. Any other questions or comments, concerns? All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah, before you go, brother Greg, I have a brief question. If you want another test instead of on mortgage calculator, something else to make it a little bit clear.
Okay, what's not clear?
No, just to see the difference if I want to run a test on something else.
Okay. Yeah, so tomorrow we can continue with like a different application.
Oh, okay.
Also, I have one more request.
What's that?
If the presenter can use a bigger monitor, if possible, so we can see the multiple screen together.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
If possible. Thank you.
When do we come back from lunch?
1:15.
Thank you.
All right, let me see. I think I have another question. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's break for lunch. Bye.
Hey, Ms. Zanur?
Hello?
Greg, thank you for your time for this morning. I will continue after the break. In the meantime, if anyone actually, I saw a few people having issue with the syntax error, a few other things. If feel free to actually let me know. In the meantime, we can troubleshoot those before we start our next session after the lunch.
Okay, can I share my screen with you for a second?
Yeah, sure. Let me become a organizer. Can you make me organizer, Alam or Mizanur? I think I'm organized. All right. I'm sorry, who wants to be a presenter? Sorry, I missed your name. Fatima?
Hey, Shamsu.
Yeah, someone actually asked to, there is a problem he's having.
Okay,
So.
1 second. You want me to continue recording or? You want me to continue the recording the sessions? Shamsu?
Shamsu. I think it was Itayeb. Itayeb.
Ityab. All right, Ityab. I'm making you the presenter to show you the screen of what problem you're having, so you can troubleshoot. Accept the presenter view. Greg, you feel free to take off if you want to, or if you want to continue, that's fine too. Other mentors and have learned a lot and would like to explore my knowledge and be able to share my knowledge with others so we can actually learn and collaborate and continue to do this. So I will be picking up where Greg actually left over. Before I continue, I would like to know if any of you have any question at this moment. All right, if not, let me know if you can't hear me or you have having difficulties seeing my screen. All right, let's get started. So I'll be starting with new test, again, recapping what Greg has done. So in the meantime, stop me or, unmute yourself and ask question if you don't understand anything, and we'll troubleshoot together and figure out way of solution, okay? So I'm gonna hit the, click on File, click on New, and I'll be creating a test. When you click on new test, you see there are 4 different items here. One is GUI, graphical user interface test. This is the type item we'll be using for the GUI test. There are
Hey, Sam, question. When I click on File, I don't have an option to open a new test.
File.
Okay.
New.
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that option.
You probably have the recording session on.
Oh, you should have. You have to
okay,
exit.
I'm just gonna exit and then just start over again.
Right. Okay.
Give me a couple of minutes. Not even, I guess.
Okay. So you click on File, Create New, and create test. You can do that by pressing Control N, or also there is another way of doing is if you just click on New or just Control N, it will bring you there. Create New, Test. We can give a name to the test. So let's do a different application at this moment because we already gone through the mortgage calculator. We can do maybe our site cyberbullion.com. So we call it.
I couldn't see it clear on my screen, whatever you are working on when you are interacting with the application.
Do you see the HP tool right here, this window?
Yes, I've seen it, but it's not clear.
It's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe because I actually, let me see if I can make it a little clearer.
Your icon is a little too small, that's all.
some settings. Probably that should help. Does it look better? Is it clear now?
Unmuted.
Shamsu, this is
Yeah,
Mizanur.
better now.
Can
Thank
you
you.
use the desktop VMware so that you have all the configurations that you need?
No, I can't connect to that. I was okay.
Okay.
Can you see bigger screen now? Bigger font? So I'm clicking on create. Okay, so this test already exists. So I'm going to name it 1. And I'll be storing my test in this location, C user, Shams, document, and training. I can give a name of the solution as the test name, or I can rename in different name and click on create. Soon as we create, we have the solution name Cyber Boolean 1, which is the same name as Cyber Boolean 1 test name, and we have an action. We can rename this action by right mouse click, and you see that saying rename. We can say, let's name it as a home. So we will be testing on home page of the Cyber Boolean. And it will ask you to whether you want to reuse it. I mean, the action, and maybe this test can be used. And press on yes. At this moment, we'll start recording. So we can click on record, and there are settings you can do, configure it. Greg, this already been mentioned, or alternatively, you can click on record button, red button here. Ready? So let's do record and settings. We have done this record and run on any open browser, which means basically any open browser open, and you can continue perform your recording from now. I mean, whenever the browser is open. The second option is to open you are actually specifying the browser and the URL and which system to use. So at this moment, we have only local and HPE. So we'll be using the local because our browser is in local location. And here I can give a URL. Cyberboolean.com, right? https://www.cyberboolean.com, and we can test it on several browsers. Since we have been doing it in IE, I can either continue on IE. Let's do it. Continue on IE, and then next time we'll do it in different browser, such as Chrome or Firefox. And I selected this. We can leave those as default and click on apply. And hit OK. So our settings is done.
Sam, I'm not getting the left Solution Explorer where you have all that home. When I'm turning it on and I'm opening a new file, the left side is there is no tool available for current document.
Let me see if I can fix it.
If you click on file, do you see new?
Do I, if I click on file?
No, click on new.
Yeah.
Go to new.
new tests, and I I created something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see start action.
No, go to the next one.
Go to action
on the top.
Action one.
Yep, right here.
Or start page.
Start page.
No, action one. Action one.
Action one. Okay, I'm in action
let me
one.
see.
But on the left hand side, there is
It's totally
no
empty.
It's totally empty. Should I cross it out and try to get?
The best thing is, since these are the common issues, many of you face this. I would be making you a presenter, so you can show it and how to troubleshoot that issue. Other people can actually learn it and do their own. And we mentioned we'll be doing these steps repeatedly, so that you kind of get a habit of doing those basic stuff. Let me make you a presenter so you can actually present your screen and I'll troubleshoot you.
Okay, thank you. That would be fine.
Go open your go to meeting page.
Thank you.
Sure. I don't see your name on the list. Shamam? The problem you're having, you don't see the Solution Explorer. Click on View. Click on the first one, Solution Explorer. And there you see the Solution Explorer on the left. Does this answer your question, Shamam?
Yeah, thank you. I got it, and I'm gonna proceed with the class.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Anyone, any of you has any problem? We can troubleshoot this with because this is more of interactive. So we'll doing back and forth troubleshooting all these issues. So it will help us understand the tool and all the materials will be covered.
Can you go back to the local setting? How to go back to it?
Sorry?
For the record, local setting, you set it for Cyber Bullion.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Click on record.
Okay.
Setting.
Record setting.
Selecting the second option, open the following when recording or running.
Okay.
Cyber Bullion, Microsoft Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Change any of these settings and click on apply. Hit OK. I'm going to close the browser.
Okay.
It's open. Let me see.
Okay, I did it. So the next step is just.
Yeah. So let me see if the. Okay, so my view is 125%. You want to make sure your browser is zoomed to 100%. Otherwise, the XY coordinate may change to different places. So that needs to be changed. Zoom to 100% always. All right, since I will be clicking on record now. And my browser is opening, which is cyberbullion.com.
Hey, Sam, quick question. Can you please go back to that Internet Explorer browser and the settings that you changed, please?
Sure.
Do I gotta do that, or it's just for you, for the presenter, for the instructor?
No, this is for everything I'm doing. All of you will be doing the same thing, basically.
Can you please go back and then?
Okay. All right. So where do you want me to go? The view?
Yeah. So what do you change there? View, and then Sham, can you move? I can see you. So view, and then zoom to what? 200%, you say?
Yeah, zoom to 100%. So click on view, and
I'm sorry, you say 100 or 200?
100%. Basically,
got it.
you want to fit into the page.
All right. All right.
And also on the settings, make sure the manage add-ins.
Hold on. Manage add-ons. Okay. Go back.
Yeah, you click on manage add-ons, and there is something called Micro Focus Group Limited, HPE agent.
A micro focus group limited. Okay.
This is enabled. If you see disabled, make sure you do that enable and restart the browser, not the machine, just the
Micro focus group limited is enabled, so I don't have to do anything, right?
Okay, yeah, you're good. If it's enabled, those who has enabled, you are fine.
Okay, so close it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do I still keep the browser on, or do I close it?
Okay, let me repeat that again. The same step I'm doing. Just follow along, so it'll be fine. I'm closing all the browsers. I don't have any browser open. I created a test called Cyberbullion one, and my action name is home. So
Yeah, I'm there.
The Cyberbullion, I have home, and then I click on run. Before you click on that, you can, if it's not done, you can set this and put your browser name, URL, and the which browser you will be testing on, and make these are set.
Yeah.
And then you can apply, and then okay, and hit run. It will automatically launch the browser and navigate you to cyberbullion.com.
Okay.
You're gonna click on record.
So can I already had a cyberbullion.com browser open. Can I close that? Because I don't need that, right?
Everything should be closed before you start recording.
Wait, so I think I messed up then.
I have a question. I created everything. I went up to home. I also launched Cyberbullion, but then I accidentally exited out. Can I go back to the same application again?
Yeah. So basically, if you start recording and no number created here after number one, you shoot a bracket, and it actually, if I click on home,
I totally exited out the UFT.
You can open it again. Yeah, launch UFT again and redo that steps.
Okay, so create another one, because when I try to do Cyberbullion 1, it says it's already exists. Do I create a new one?
You can override that, or create new one for now, and
okay.
How to override those? Yeah. So we are on the home page now. I would like to let's say I want to click on something or do some interaction with the app. I want to click on line.
Brother Shamsu, you are breaking up.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let me change my microphone audio. Give me one moment, please.
Test.
And then click test. This window new test comes up. Give a name. Anything, Google. And you can provide a name wherever you want to store it, or leave it as default. But I put it on the training, so all my test is going to go under training. And I can give a name, or I can change the Google solution or Google underscore solution, whatever you like to. And you can check this to create a directory or uncheck it. If you check it, it will create a directory. And click on create. I created a test called Google. I spell it correct? So this is where I want to go. So everyone has the Google, and we can say rename this test. Basically, what you do, you right mouse click on this and either press F2 or just click on rename, and I can say once you click on it, it's gonna say spell it. So I have a Google Home action, and I can either do it by selecting the first option, which will require me to launch a browser. I have to either provide some programming to do the launching part, or I can directly use this, and we have done this already. Just give a URL and that's done. So at this moment, I'm just going to use the first one and click apply. Okay. And click save. We are up until here. And now I can either record. There are two ways you can record. You can either, we already did record part. You click on record and it will record each step we do. Alternatively, we can use the repository local. So this is the object repository we use to add the objects. When we record it, actually everything we do, it gets stored into the object repository. So if I do open a browser on the side, and let's make it a little smaller. And if I click on plus sign here, it's going to give me an option, a hand with saying, okay, you want to click something somewhere in the browser. So let's say I'm going to click on here, just this search bar, and it brought us something, the browser, which is a Google, and the homepage, Google homepage, and I have a web element here. If I click on it, it's going to get stored in this location. And as you can see, I have whatever I have seen, it's got recorded here. And if I want to highlight, make sure I'm doing the correct, the element, and click on that, it's saying it got the entire page. Actually here, the page. So it is recognizing the page. So if I want to add another objects, I can just simply click on Gmail or recording. So now I have this, I can just simply drag and drop. It will create a whatever whatever I do with the recording, it does the same thing with the objects. You can keep on adding objects here, and all you need to do, drag and drop, and it will be created here. Uh, the same way we did recording. So this is another way of doing, just showing you how you can actually use the object repository. This is where
Where we drag and drop from?
You drag and drop from the object. So basically, you if you have a local right here, this is a local object repository. Everything you record by clicking this, it gets stored right here. So if you open it, and I have everything stored here. And all I have to do, if I want to, let's say I want to perform this step, I can just select this and just drag it on my editor. I have that line as many times as I want. I can do it. I can remove it. I can rename it. Whatever you like to say. Here it's a main. You can say main 1 and take a look. If I say main 1 and hit enter, everything gets changed here. If I want to say, right, let's say Google home, right? And if I hit enter, this gets changed. If I want to change the page, let's say Google main page, right? And hit enter. It also gets changed here. Same thing goes for all. So this is, I'm just showing you, this is another way of recording. You can just add, keep on adding a step. Like I want to add this one. Click on add. I want to add the feeling lucky right here. Okay, it's not, this is not correct actually. I mean the page itself is not reading correctly. Let me see. Okay, I know. All right, now it should be. I had less than 100% on the page. So what I'll be doing, I'm gonna delete all this and redo this entire thing so you can see. So now even I deleted here, it didn't delete right here, right? You can, it might raise a question, why didn't it delete? When I do change it, it deletes from the entire page, but it doesn't do. So if you right mouse click on the page, we don't have the objects here. Basically, it doesn't locate where this page object property are. They are not showing here because that's the reason why I'm not seeing it. So even if I run it, it's going to fail. So what I can do, I can just remove all this and just start doing the same thing. So I'm clicking on the local.
What's the reason why is not created the property object?
In the editor page?
Yeah.
Because I deleted from the object repository. So I don't have the objects here. That's
But
the
initially while you are recording, it's supposed to be record the web page element, right?
Right. So
okay.
Right. So if I record it here, click on record, and I have Chrome open. I'm typing job, right? I'm typing it, and then I say, okay, click on source, and I have about this number of messages returned. This tool, when you come to a point where you are actually coding, like a BB script, so sometimes we use it like just to make sure